Before we actually start developing our game, we will start by having a look at how we even create a game project, or better yet, a SpriteKit project in Xcode. So, we open up Xcode, and in the Welcome to Xcode window, select Create a new Xcode project. Usually, we would select a single view application template, or maybe in a special case, a page-based or master detail application. This time, however, we will choose Game, since we want to create a SpriteKit game. It is also important that you've selected the right platform at the top here. So make sure iOS is selected, and we can then click Next and select a name for the project. I will call mine SpriteKit Demo. Team, organization name, and organization identifier are of course individual, so you will have other different values in here, but that's fine, since they are specific to your profile. The next important point is language, and we will of course select Swift as our programming language. Game technology also has some different choices, but we are selecting SpriteKit since this course is about that framework. Devices can be left at universal, and we don't have to worry about the stuff that comes below for now. So simply hit Next. We select a place for our project to save its files and then hit Create, which will give us a brand new SpriteKit project containing the default SpriteKit template. So without further ado, I will run the project by clicking the play button in the top left corner. Now you should see the exact same thing if you run your project. We have a label with the text Hello World, and if we click and drag on the screen, we will get colored shapes that rotate and scale and then disappear. This is the current default SpriteKit template, which will be present every time we create a new SpriteKit project in Xcode. I will now stop the app so we can take a quick look at what we have here. Let's first look at the GameViewController.swift file. It contains the GameViewController class, which presents our scene. It is initialized here with the scene file GameScene.sks. This file is also in our project structure here, and if we select it, we can see that this is just a blank scene with the label Hello World written on it. There's a second SKS file that contains two SK actions that make up the pulse action. The third important file is the GameScene.swift file that contains some code for the label and the spinny node, which is used for the shapes that we just saw when we were running the application. What follows is quite some code, mainly using touchless methods to manipulate these nodes to achieve the result that we saw in the app. We do not have to understand all of this right away, since we do not want to actually work with this template. Instead, we want to create a completely blank project, so we can start from scratch. So that's what we are going to do now. Let's make sure that we delete everything that is pre-implemented in our project so far. We will start by selecting the two SKS files, GameScene and Actions, and simply delete them. We can then, in our GameScene, start by deleting the gameplay kit import since we do not need it, and then delete pretty much everything inside of the class, starting with the two properties here. The didMoveToView method itself can stay, but we will delete its entire body. Other than that, we can delete all of the other methods completely, so we are left with just the empty didMoveToView method. This method is called as soon as the scene appears on the screen, so we will use it in almost any project that we create, and that's why it can stay. Now, we will go into our GameViewController.swift file and again start by deleting the import of GameplayKit. We can also delete every method but the viewDidLoad method, since they will not be needed for this crash course. The problem is that our scene still gets loaded from the SKS file here. However, we just deleted this file, so this won't work at all. Therefore, I will initialize our game scene differently. And we can also delete the if-let statement for this. So I'm going to say let scene is set to game scene initialized with a parameter size set to view.bounds.size, meaning our whole screen is used to create a new instance of game scene. Since game scene is a subclass of skScene, we can use the initializer with the size parameter to do so. View in this case is just a view of our view controller casted as a SpriteKit view, which is able to present a scene. What we have here is the scale mode, which is set to aspect fill. This means that our scene will fill the entire view without margins toward any edge. After that, we already call present scene on our view and show our scene in the view controller. There are three properties of the skView set below. Ignore sibling order is set to true, and what this does will be talked about later on. For now, we just accept that it's in here. Other than that, we have two debug informations. Show FPS set to true and shows node count also set to true. These are just displayed at the bottom of our scene and can help us inspect how our game is performing and how many nodes are currently drawn in our scene. We will add a third debug information already, which is view.showsPhysics, and set it to true. Later on, when we work with physics in our game, this will draw the physics bodies so we can more easily detect them and see how they behave. We now have a pretty empty SpriteKit app, so let's run it. And we should only see a dark gray screen with our debug information in the bottom right corner, and that's exactly what we get here. Wonderful. We have a completely blank application and are able to begin learning about different elements of the SpriteKit framework together.